I'd like to pick up at the point where you first heard of cinema, what Chris Allen and Trevor had done, and how you came about to become a member and, the reformation of Yes and everything.
Okay. It was round about the October, November of '82, and I was in America doing some work. I'd been doing a tour and realised that there was a lot of people who needed a group like Yes. It was something that when you spoke to anybody, they would say to me, when are you going to get Yes back together, or when are you going to join Yes again, and all this kind of thing. So I actually rang Chris and spoke to Chris and Alan and Tony and Trevor, and they were working on some music, and I mentioned that hey, maybe next year's going to be the time for the band to reform, and that I'd see them when I got back to England. As it happened, I didn't get back to England for 4 months later because I was working in France on a couple of ideas and an album with Vangelis. So it was Easter of '83 that I got back to England, and I got a phone call from Chris saying he'd like to get together, and we hadn't seen each other for 3 years, so it was kind of a kind of interesting sort of proposition, just seeing him again anyway. And he brought some music along, and he played me things like Leave It, Hold On, and Owner of a Lonely Heart and Hearts, and said that he would like me to sing on it. So I thought about it for about 2 seconds, and then realised that obviously if I was going to sing on this music, which was already strong, it needed a few changes here and there lyrically, and some tunes making it a bit stronger. But the general feeling was that if I sang on it, it would sound like Yes. And at that time, Chris was pretty strong that it should be called Cinema. We should never really backtrack. So anyway, I went into the studio with Trevor Horn, and I put down some tracks, and everybody came along about 4 or 5 days later to listen to it. And they all kind of said it at the same time, gosh, it sounds just like Yes. So we all kind of smiled about it and decided really there and then that we were going to reform the name Yes and sort of make a statement that this was the new Yes, and that we were prepared to go on the road together and do some concerts.
And
simple as that.
did you expect the overwhelming popularity and success that you've achieved?
Not really. You can never really expect to get to number one with a single. You can never really expect to have a top 5 album. You just hope that you're going to get a good reaction. I think that one of the things that we spoke about when we first talked about being Yes again, the same feeling hit me, that no matter what, we'd still go on the road and perform as Yes. Even if the album didn't make it, I don't think that would have changed the fact that we wanted to go on the road as a group unit and perform and play as a group called Yes. As it happened, we were very fortunate to be able to ride this year on the back of a hit album all over the world. So, the stars were in our favour.
Wasn't it hard when you decided you were going to go on the road as Yes? Wasn't it hard for you guys to decide which tunes, from the history of Yes that you were going to play? There's so many classic Yes songs.
Yeah, initially it was kind of, let's just go for the ones we know can be remembered, and generally people want to hear them, like And You and I've Seen All Good People, Yours Is No Disgrace, Starship Trooper, Roundabout. These are very, very strong Yes tracks. And we did that in rehearsal. We also did Perpetual Change and Long Distance Runaround. And during the course of the year, we kind of dropped a couple of the tracks and reinstated the odd track from the new album, like Our Song. So in some ways, it kind of developed itself. It really didn't take much thought for us to decide. We knew that it had to be a half and half sort of discovery from an audience point of view. There was a new audience, and they would have to see what we're capable of doing, and that's why we still do solo spots. I don't know, we've had one or two criticisms about still doing that kind of thing, but I don't think that's wrong. I think an evening's entertainment should be a broad scope on ideas, i.e. a lot of strong music, a lot of good songs, and also some individual talent. I mean, you can't really hide Trevor in the background just doing solos and singing. He had to do a solo spot simply because he's so talented. And the same with Tony, and the same with Chris. Alan's got a little sort of drum solo before Hold On. And I do Soon, which is, it's that kind of thing that I think in an evening's entertainment, you've got to be able to present the individuals of a group. If you don't do that, it's going to centre around one person or maybe two, and I don't think that's a group. That's another thing. I've always been interested in groups. You know, a group is 5 strong individuals that can carry the evening. You know, no matter, you know, on their own, and that's the whole plan. That was the plan from '68.
Makes for a nice, well-rounded show.
Yeah, I think if you take say 10 people who come to see the show, I'm sure 9 out of 10 enjoyed the fact that it wasn't just a repetition of songs, that it was an evening's entertainment. Maybe the odd 1 or 2 are saying, nah, I don't want to hear solos, you know, I want to hear some hit songs. But there's always that 1 out of 10. He's usually a critic and he writes about it. I don't think that's a good yardstick.
Yeah, yes, has always been that way though, with
Yeah.
long solos.
Well, they're not long. They're just I think they're just interesting. I tend to feel that.
I didn't mean that in a
No,
negative way.
no, but and the idea that. Well, you have to wipe that then.
Okay, you mentioned the Gaze of Delirium part. That's a real nice, tranquil type thing in the middle. I really get off on that. How was that for you singing that? That's when the audience is like in Philadelphia. That the place was going absolutely crazy.
I know
I
it.
mean, I was myself.
It's like alternate states. You know, if you can really capture that energy that's flowing and quieten it down so that it's more subtle energy than just noise. So you go out there and you sing such a simple, gentle song, which really has a lot to say in its lyric. And when we played Philadelphia, like you said, it was the audience was ginormous. It was 10 times bigger than it was, you know, for us. And to be able to calm it down and then hit them with a song, it works. You know, it works if you can capture it. At times you've got to ask them and plead with them, you know, to be quiet. Yeah, it's funny that a song like Soon, it was that time when I was writing that kind of music, like Gates of Delirium and things like that, that I would like to, I think I might have mentioned this before, but it'd be nice to do a song like Soon and really get no applause, because it's not really my song in a way, you know, it's a universal statement in a way. So some nights we nearly achieve it, where there's a kind of semi-silence at the end where the audience can just reflect on it as just something, nothing to be rewarded with. But then audiences clapping and cheering is really a very strong self-assertion. The audience need to say it. It's like when we went to see Springsteen the night after, when they were doing the wave in the middle, that really freaked me out completely. And besides Springsteen being so damn good and the audience being so high, the wave in the middle was a reflection of unity. And I think that's a great aspect of America. Strong, very strong.
Do you think that an audience that would clap on Soon might be like a less educated Yes audience, whereas say like in Philadelphia they wanted to hear some tales?
Well, not really. I just think there's a certain time when really you don't need to clap or you don't need to make a noise. You just kind of relax at the end of something. Say, hey, that was really good, and say it to yourself. You know. There's many times when I've watched a performance of somebody, I won't really clap or cheer at the end of every song. I'll kind of reflect on the energy it gave me. I mean, when we saw Bruce that second night, there was one song that he sang, Glory Days. I didn't need to really clap, I just loved it. I just sat there and thought, wow, that was great, you know.
Right.
Mind you, I sang along with him. So what can you do, you know?
Okay, these two tours that you did, America and Europe, are very successful. Do you, John Anderson, have any highlights from the tours? Anything that stand out?
Yeah. The first highlight really was Chicago on the first beginning of the tour. It was we were only a week into the tour, and Chicago has always been a very crazy sort of place. We used to play the amphitheater, and they'd send cherry bombs and rockets and bangers and fireworks. This was in the mid-70s. So when we went back to Chicago, there was a great feeling that we, in a way, were well known, which is something I hadn't really thought about too much. We'd been away for 4 years, but here we were again in Chicago, and we'd done about 5 gigs up to it, and the reaction was incredible. It was a lot stronger than I anticipated. So that gave really, it gave a kind of a lot of energy for the rest of the American tour, simply because we knew we were going to have a great time, say in New York, in Philly, in Cincinnati, and all these great places, Pittsburgh, that we really know we have a good time. Down in Texas was great. And the next highlight really was LA, because LA sometimes can be a hard gig. You play, you go down well, but you don't feel like you've conquered the place. You just feel like you're the next band through. And then you go down to Long Beach and they go crazy. And in San Diego they go crazy. So LA has always been a kind of the Forum. It's a big place, but this time we played the Forum, and it was a strong sort of energy, like, hey, we really like Yes very much, and it's glad to see it back together again. So they were the kind of the highlights of the first American tour. Obviously we played Philly and New York, and they were great. The European tour, again, that was a different sort of game, because we went up to Sweden to start the tour, and Stockholm, we got the same reaction that we were getting in America. And we thought, wow, this is strange. Usually Stockholm and Oslo and all these kind of places are a little bit low-key, because they have a different sort of mentality to life and everything. Not that different, but they have certainly a different outlook. But the reaction was amazing. Right, and then we went to England, and that was really good. It was very different than I expected. I, kind of went to London expecting the big homecoming vibration, but they always kind of keep up with their times. They're well into what's happening now. So we were just kind of coming in there. We went up to Birmingham, which was a very, very strong audience, but we didn't really cover the British Isles as much as I would like. So what we're going to do is we're just going to wait a little bit longer next time, and then go in and do it stronger. And then we went down to France, which was really we've only played Paris in the last 10 years. I think we played Paris and Lyon, but this time we went down to the south of France, which was fantastic. We played into Spain, and we've never been there before, so it was a great experience. Early next year we're going to be touring Brazil and all that kind of thing, and this will be a first time for us. So anywhere that's new is a great reflection of your possibilities. If you go down well, you think, hey, it's we've got a longer life, as a group. And then we came back this tour, and the highlights of this tour have been general. There's a definite vibe that there's a lot of people enjoying what we are and what we do, and a lot of young people as well, accepting that we're not in the 20s, and we're not, in a sense, most of us aren't in our 20s. I mean, Trevor is. Probably that's why they're coming. Wait a minute, I gotta work this out. Anyway, they still have a good time, these young kids, and it just gives the band that extra few years as a unit. You know, the next album obviously is important, and it's important the way we approach it. And we've, haha.
Yes, at this point.
Well, it's very difficult to say how long the band will stay together. I know that we're very interested in doing another album. We've already spoke about how and when and why and all this kind of thing. And we'll just see how things go from then on. I think gone are the days when I will say, oh, it'll last forever. In my heart, it'll last forever. But who knows what's going to happen. I know that we're very happy and very we're having fun, and we're a lot happier with each other than we were, say, in the 70s. We're very kind of enjoying our success, I think, second time round. I think you tend to enjoy it more. You relax and enjoy the fame, if that's what it's called.
Yeah, there was a couple of years there where, you know, a couple of the other members, maybe you yourself, did a successful solo tour, but they lost, you know, the limelight, so to speak, I guess. So maybe they had a couple of years to say, hey, I wish I was up on the stage again.
Well, you know, when you've been to the top, in a sense, I don't think we've ever reached that sort of Rolling Stones
Well, no, yes,
sort
it's
of
a supergroup
pinnacle.
in the same.
Well, yes, yeah, but it's not on the level of Bowie or, say, Springsteen. Or I mean, there's a certain level which you can reach, and I think maybe we might be on our way there if we get the next album exactly right, and we do it in such a way that is so different and so modern. We'll just have to wait and see. But I know that once you've tasted like playing Madison Square Gardens, and you go and play a club or a small ballroom or a small theatre, you feel good, you do a show, you're professional. But there's always at the back of your mind thinking, well, I did that for about 5 or 6 years and enjoyed it. Maybe I'd like to get back there as well. And once you get back there, it's obviously twice as much. The feeling is twice as much because you've missed it. It's like I missed being in Yes. I certainly did. And my lady wife Jenny tells me that she knew I was missing it. That's why she said go for it. You know, we obviously talk about what I'm doing, and she said, yeah, go for it, because I think it's just what you need, and then it'll extend your career, it'll open up your career, and this is exactly what it's done. Really, it's made me more aware of the home base syndrome, which is something that I spoke about many times, that Yes was a home base to which you could go off and do other ideas and do other things. And what you have to do is to make your home base comfortable.
Right. And you can record Cage of Freedom.
Yeah, you can do things like that. To me, that the idea of being asked to sing the song is a new departure. It's only happened. Bob Fripp asked me very early in the 70s, and
Yeah, I had that album.
yeah, and then I did the song with Vangelis because I just happened to be there at the time, and that was the extension of that was working with Vangelis, and I just done this song, Cage of Freedom, for Giorgio, and maybe we'll get together and do some work, because there's obviously a sound there that is attractive to the listening audience.
So you just sang on that song then?
Yeah, I didn't write it. No, it was already written. It was sent to me. There was 2 songs that were sent to me, and one I liked, and I said, okay, I'll come up to New York and sing it as a session man, you know. And again, it was strange because I did that, and I did another song for Michael Winner, who does Death Wish 1, 2, and 20, you know, all them stuff.
Right.
And he's got a new film coming out, and John Paul Jones wrote the music, and John rang me up, and we talked about doing the main title song that him and his daughter had written. So I heard the song and I just liked it. I said, yeah, I'll sing that for you.
When did you do that?
Again, at the same time I did the Cage of Freedom, same month, last November.
Do you know when that's coming out?
It'll be out this coming January, I think.
Oh, I thought you wrote Cage of Freedom.
No, it was... It is kind of one of them songs that I would have written. It's that kind of very strong sort of statement, if you like. No, I was just happy to be part and parcel of the whole idea, which was Pat Benatar and Freddie Mercury, all these guys singing on an album relating to an old movie that I knew very well. Well, it has been a fascinating year, fascinating and incredible. I've had time to relax after the American tour, and the next project obviously is to play Brazil and Argentina, Chile, and all these places. And having never been there, it is an adventure. We might never get back. We keep being told this, that we are insured.
Any concrete plans for the next Yes album?
The next album is extremely important musically. I know that we're very, very interested in maybe doing a long piece of music, but also at the same time we know the immediacy of the radio and the fact that we understand what commercial music is now. I think we were very afraid of it, or I was a few years ago. I was very afraid of playing a game, sort of okay, let's write a hit song, or let's write a dozen hit songs, just for chance none of them were. Because if you stepped out of your sort of general idea of what you want it to be, just to try and make money, there's always that danger that you're going to fall flat on your face. I mean, a lot of people said when the Yes were reforming, it was kind of, well, maybe, but we knew we had it. We knew we had something there, whether it was a big hit or not. We knew we had the strength and the talent to carry it through, and to make people who were kind of disbelievers to say, well, hey, they're not a bad band really. They're a good group. So the next step is to make sure the next album is as valid as the Yes's name, I think. And if you look at the history of the band, not one album is the same. So we're not going to make another 90125 and call it 90126. I can't see the point. Even though that was even talked about. We talked about it and said, that's not what Yes means. We still really don't know where we're going musically. We know we write a lot. I've been writing today some songs, and writing music is sometimes not that hard to do. It's formulating it and making it work as a group that's hard. And I'm sure that we're all looking forward to getting to grips with the next album.
Okay. Now you didn't have a large part to do with writing on 90125. Obviously, you'll have a stronger role.
Well, I don't know. It's hard to explain exactly what I put in, but there wasn't songs like Changing Places, or One Heart's for Love, One's for Giving.
Well, you weren't there.
I weren't there from the instigation of it or the development of it, but I was there at the point in time where it needed that extra hand, and I was able to give that sort of strength at that moment in time. But the next time we write, I'm sure we're going to write on a similar level. It'll be a very open-ended situation, and that's why we've decided not to really be decisive about the songs we're writing. We're just writing ideas now. We have a theme. It's a theme that I talk to everybody about, and everybody kind of agrees that it's an interesting idea. And once we get to grips with the rehearsals, I'm sure it'll all come together.
Could this be a concept album?
Well, I think that we need for it to be a concept. I don't know why. I just think we all need it to be something more than just a series of songs. There's got to be a thread. It's very important.
You care to go into it at all? Or?
Not really. I think if I start talking about it now, it might not be that in the end. It might be something totally different. But I know at the back of my mind that the ideas that we've discussed and we've come up with are strong enough to entertain the idea of doing an album like that.
Okay. So obviously you're going to have a stronger role in the writings because you're going to be there from the start. And you know what I was getting to was in the previous Yes, you wrote basically all the lyrics.
Yeah, I think that I'm learning a lot, especially in the last 2 or 3 years. I've learned to learned to understand the need for a more concrete image when it comes to lyric. I still have my sort of cosmic notions and probably never lose them, but I'll use them in a different way on different projects. I won't use them specifically for Yes, so that when I'm working with Yes, I can be a little bit more freer and learn from Trevor and Chris, because they both can write good lyrics, as they've proved.
We're still at the softball game in Kansas City, continuing with Jon Anderson. Now, Jon, congratulations on the year that you've just had.
Thanks so much. Is this for radio? Oh, I'm on radio now, and it's live?
Syndicated radio.
Syndicated live radio. Well, it's not live, but it's near enough.
It's for the King Biscuit Flower Hour, which you evidently are doing around December. They're going to use these little bits in between your songs.
Great, that's good.
Now, how did it come about that you were joining Chris and Alan and Tony?
Well, the story goes, about a year and a half ago, I was in America doing some work, and I gave Chris a phone and said, "What's happening? Are you kind of into thinking about Yes again?" Because I felt there's a lot of fans around the world that really were missing the band, and I was missing the band in a lot of ways. So it took a couple of months before he phoned me back, because I was working in France and doing some other things, and he phoned up and said that, "Why don't you have a listen to what we're doing?" And he mentioned that he was working with Alan and Trevor and Tony Kaye and Trevor Horn, and I was just very interested in listening to what was happening, really. And the first 3 tracks he played were Leave It, Owner of a Lonely Heart, and Hold On, and I was captivated right away, and just went into the studios and sang and developed some lyrics and sang some ideas for choruses and things, and eventually it all melted together. You know, I just came in probably at the right time, where it didn't take too long for me to adjust to what was already down on tape, but I did help it, and we all developed it over the final 3 months.
Yeah, I saw you several dates on your solo tour the previous summer, and which was very successful. And I got the impression there was a lot of Yes fans at the show. Did you get the same feeling then?
Well, I knew there would be a lot of fans coming to see and hope they would hear Yes songs, so there was a lot of Yes fans there, and the reaction I got was incredible. So, and sometimes I'd be playing in a small theater, and then sometimes in a club. And it just gave me a lot of energy for the future, and I really enjoyed that time very much. I enjoyed working with those fine musicians, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. We just scored a home run, folks, here live at a field somewhere in Kansas City.
Yeah, Philadelphia went nuts on your solo tour. You warmed up for you're playing with King Crimson.
That's right, yeah. And it was fantastic. It was a very strong experience, really going back to the roots and playing clubs again and smaller gigs, and really just relating to the audience as I always do, that I enjoy what I do, and whether I'm in a club or in a big concert hall, it doesn't matter. I still enjoy it the same, and I put as much energy in there.
And now Chris and Alan were playing with Trevor at Cinema, and they had most of the material written and everything as Cinema. Now, the band didn't actually become Yes until you rejoined them. What was your input on calling the band Yes, and then what was your musical input on the music?
Well, it's very hard to write it all down, but if you look at it, it's I say it's a fifth, as a lot of good Yes music is. It's a 5-way energy, And as I say, I could write it down for you exactly what I put in, you know, but I did put in enough to warrant that by the time I'd finished singing and everybody's listening to it and they're saying this sounds like Yes, and we've got to call it Yes. And I had no doubt in my mind that it should be Yes, because me and Chris started Yes in '68, and it's a long time to nurture a band, which was 12 years, and just let it go. You know, there was no point in letting it go, and it's proved its point. We've played all over the world this year, and the reaction has been incredible, because you get a lot of young kids coming who really don't know what Yes was, and they're surprised at the amount of different kinds of people that come to see the show in age, you know, and the reaction. They get uplifted by the reaction, and so do we, you know. And I've got to go and bat now. Hey, they need a home run.
To be continued.
Hey.